So, hello. I'm trying to initiate this whole story. I hope it will work. It's the first time that I'm doing it this way. I'm just inviting Vincent, and hopefully that works. Yeah, that looks quite okay. Need to wait a moment until he's. Oh wow, it works!
Ciao Bella. Hello.
Hello, and I hope it really is online in public and not only for us like we tried it before.
Yeah, I guess if anyone's watching this, they can send a thumbs up or a like or send us a message to let us know we're live and loud. That would be great.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
see. I see somebody has joined. I hope, and it's gone again. This is a mystery that Facebook Live
Yeah.
announcement.
It
It's
might just
really
be you
funny.
and me, Klana.
Yeah, okay, doesn't
But
matter.
yeah, it works for me. I love talking to you.
Everybody could watch the replay. And you know, when we
Indeed.
two are enjoying each other, it's already a lot.
Yeah. There's a button that says share, and I'm
There's a
going
button that
to
says share.
yeah.
So,
So I'm going to share it to a group. Yeah, okay, that's cool. Yes, I shared it with
where's that one?
on bottom left hand corner.
Okay, good question, but I don't see it. Okay, no
That's
idea where that is on my phone. So, but at least I have you, and I hope I didn't. Oops.
Oh, there we go. Magic.
Hi, Virgil.
Oh, hi, Emma.
At least they say tell us that you are here. Welcome. Good.
Yes, good to have you on board.
There.
Magic. So, Klana, we're going to share some ideas about communication this afternoon. Can you tell us a little bit more about what we're going to expect?
We are playing a little bit here because and we haven't really prepared it. We just put the topic out and then the time ran out to prepare anything. So we are shooting out of our, how do you say? Out of the hip. In German, you say shoot out of the hip.
Shooting from the hip.
From the
I
hip.
thought you meant something else there.
Same saying. That's cool.
Yeah.
So it's about communication.
It is.
And how you can have better communications, no matter with whom. If it's your partner, if it's your spouse or boss or whoever.
Yeah.
These things that we are going to show you are helpful in any communication. And I hope we will have some fun. I have an idea.
You do. Awesome. I think there might be a role play or two coming up.
Yes.
Yeah, I do hope so. Magic. So, yeah, what's the topic?
The topic is what is the topic? Good question. I just typed it in there.
Allow me.
Responding is more effective than reacting.
That's it.
So,
yes.
Let's just construct something. It was not like that, but imagine it could easily have been like that a few years ago for me when I was not trained in that type of communication then, and I try to remember how that was. So, Vincent. Oh, finally, finally, I have you here on that screen.
What do you mean finally?
Yeah, you didn't manage to come here on this Facebook thing.
Well, if you had organised yourself better, Klana, then it would have been easier for me. So this is not about me. This is about you. and your inability to get stuff organized.
Ah,
You're always doing this, Klana. I get this all the time, and you put it on me, and you make it my fault.
oh, I
I'm
tried
sick of it.
it. I even called you yesterday. We tried this
Whatever.
out, this bullshit technique of the Facebook. And today it took us half an hour so that we were not even possible to talk about what we are really
Let's
presenting
ask,
here.
Klana, more you. Let's ask more you. It's
This
about
is
time you
really
grow up,
hilarious.
take responsibility.
I
Yeah.
am the master organizer here, and you are just
Yeah.
artsy-fartsy somewhere with your mind all the time and not
Yeah.
organized at all. And you tell me I am not organized to organize this call here.
Klana, I'm sick of hearing this. I'm sick of this incompetence and you blaming me all the time. It's bullshit. Yeah, I'm out of here. Done.
This is
Great.
actually fun. when it's not real life serious, it's fun.
It's brilliant. Yeah, you can express some stuff maybe you've been holding in. That was
Exactly.
great. So that's just a role play to illustrate how communication can fall into blaming, shaming, avoiding responsibility, defending yourself, being abusive, all out of an instinctive reaction.
Yes, and just because
with
I was angry for a moment. Yeah, and yes. I let my anger out on you.
Yes, and how was I when I received that anger?
Oh, you pushed it right back.
Yeah, I got triggered. I started to get defensive. I start to remember how to, or all the things that I can blame you for, so I can take your anger and throw it back at you, and keep myself in a sense of being safe, because I'm feeling attacked.
Yeah, and this would have gone easily on and on and on if not you, as a lot of men do, finally said, okay, I am leaving. I'm leaving the room. And you cut the connection totally. Yeah.
I'm off to my cave.
Does that sound familiar to one or the other person who watches us? To me, it's very familiar in my past life. So I'm very happy that I learned to communicate much better with some tools. And one of the tools is to make fun out of it. And let's do this now, huh?
Which is a response, because you're choosing to make fun of it, to have to stay light, and to keep your sense of humor. That's a choice. Whereas when we go into anger, that usually comes as an instinctive response, and we're not choosing to be angry. It's almost like we arrive there, and once you're there, it's so powerful and overwhelming, you roll with it, or it rolls you. But there's no power there. There's no choice. There's no self-direction, and there's no creation, and there's certainly no curiosity, because everything's closed down and shut down, and I just want to make you stop attacking me, and I probably want to make you feel guilty. And that all comes from a reaction that's been stored through years and years of learning conflict and how to deal with conflict in an ill thought out way. There's no system or rhyme or reason to my reaction. It's just wild. And it can be that whoever's around you is going to get hit with the anger and the upset. Whereas when we choose humor, then that's a choice, and I'm now in control. I feel powerful, because I can direct where we're going and how things are going to be. Where when I'm in anger, I'm just like a puppet that's been dragged along. So we try it again, and we'll try and bring a bit of humour.
Vincent, just wait a second.
Yeah.
I have a question here. Beth asks, I feel I have learned some tools. However, I'm now dating someone who reminds me of how I used to be. How do I navigate this? And Beth, maybe you get your answer when you see the second part of the role play. And if not, check in again.
Yeah, fantastic.
Okay. Let's do the same scene.
Sure.
Hey, Vincent. Finally, we made it. That was a ride, huh? Until we finally showed up here on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm reminded of just how rubbish I can be at times, Klana. Yeah, I'm amazed you even consider working with me. I get things so wrong, and I can be all over the place, just almost like a mess. But here we are, and it's all good. And
exactly.
You know, I quite like the wild ride that is our collaboration. And sometimes yes. I do like to see you panic, Klana.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
And you know, for me, it's a good practice in being patient.
Well, you would have to be with me around. So I'm like a Zen master for you in learning how to be patient, right?
Yeah. And on the other side, you know, for the two of us, this whole story with the Facebook Lives, you being in London, me being on Ibiza, was completely new. So we need to figure it out. And you know what? We can acknowledge ourselves because we got it within, I think, 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, indeed. And you know what? To me, it's like an unraveling that doesn't need a story. We can just enjoy the spontaneity of trying to get this thing to work, rather than thinking it has to work, it needs to work, but really just enjoying and being present in the moment. And and here we are, and we've managed to get live. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right, so there's a difference there, isn't there, in how we've communicated. There's no blame, there's no shame. There's acknowledging what was happening, which was we were having technical difficulties. I didn't say it was down to you. I wasn't looking to proportion blame, and I was looking at just enjoying almost like the absurdity of the human interaction when things don't go right. Instead of getting enrolled in a story about this is wrong, it's being present and just enjoying the nature of the interaction.
Yes,
and my heart feels great. Yeah, I don't have to storm off. And I'm open and I'm available to you, and we stay in connection.
Yeah, Beth, I hope that answered your question. And of course, if you have another person who triggers you, it's not so easy to not react. But my tip in that case, when you are aware of this now, and you are, if not, you wouldn't have asked that question, just take a pause, take a breath, and before you react in which way ever you want to react. And then see what could be better.
What's been useful for me, Klana and Beth, is when I get that sense of going into conflict with somebody. So physically, I can feel myself going into some sort of like response. What I remind myself is that firstly, however I'm feeling and however I'm responding is about me. It's not about Klana. Anything Klana does is neutral. So two people can be observing Klana and I'm reacting with anger and the other one's reacting with laughter. And what that shows is it's not Klana who's the cause, it's me. I'm responding, reacting to what's happening. And what I can see is there's something about me that isn't happy with how I'm perceiving what's happening. Yeah. And so it's for me, instead of me trying to fix Klana, which is crazy, I want to look at why am I not in loving acceptance of everything that Klana does? Because Klana's genius. She's amazing. Everything she does is perfect, just the way it is. But I'm not seeing it that way. And it's me who has the challenge to find out, why am I getting this strong reaction? And then I can think about, well, if I react how I always do, which let's say is to become mean and spiteful and a bit aggressive towards Klana, that might be my learned reaction. If I want to respond, how would I choose to respond in the moment? And how I want to respond to Klana is, whatever she does, I want to respond with loving acceptance. Mm-hmm. That's, to me, is how I want to turn up and how I want to be with Klana when we communicate. So I've got somewhere to go when I want to choose something other than my usual response. So right now I'm like pissed off, angry, annoyed, and I want to make her feel bad. That's my old reactive way. But my responsive way is to be generous and patient and kind, and to listen and to look for understanding and to offer her loving acceptance. And what I love about this process is that one of them ends in pain, usually for Klana and usually for me. Right? So that's a lose-lose. But when I choose to respond from a place of generosity and kindness and loving acceptance, at the end of the communication that I have with Klana, we both end up feeling loved and we feel good, and we have a positive opportunity to create something beautiful going forward. But if I've hurt Klana, the connection's broke and she's not going to trust me. And so we're going to lose this quality. And so it's smart. It's really clever to apply response and loving acceptance, because it means there's a lot of opportunity and pleasantness in the future. But if I choose my reaction, I'm probably going to lose Klana. She's probably not going to want to work with me in future. I'll be right. I'll feel better for making her feel bad, but I'll lose Klana. And then that's a loss for both of us.
Yeah, that's true. And thank you for bringing that up, because it's often really something that's in you and not in the other person. I have a little story to tell. So I used to have a roommate a few years ago, and we had a little bit different thinking about cleaning the room, the apartment. Even though we had some rules, some things she didn't do as I wanted, especially the dishes in the kitchen. I liked them to be not only washed but also dried and put them in the cupboard at the moment. So don't leave them in the sink to be drying by themselves. And most of the time I didn't care if she did that. And most of the time she did it. But there were some times when I was upset. And I really felt that feeling, like you said, physically coming up. Do I say something? Do I not say something? And it started really boiling until I exploded at one point. And I didn't remember what I said, but it was inappropriate in that very moment. Very overdone. And then was the point where I thought, wait a second. She does that for 4 weeks and I didn't care. Why do I care now? So it was a realization that something in myself was not at all in alignment, and the fly on the wall would have disturbed me, like you say in German somehow. So it's all about yourself.
Yes.
First.
Yeah.
And nobody can hurt you if you don't let them do so.
Indeed, that's right. So everything that happens in a communication with another, whatever they're doing, whatever you're doing, is neutral, and it's how I'm responding or reacting that is affecting me. And that's where the power is, because I can choose, do I want to feel attacked? Do I want to feel under shame or blame, or can I choose another reaction? And for me, one of the best ones is, it's always curiosity. It's like, so let's say, Klana, you've noticed I haven't put those dishes away, and you wanna communicate that to me, and you're communicating a lot of anger and a lot of upset. The reaction is instantly to meet you 50-50, almost like equally, with as much upset, anger, defense as you're showing me. But instead of that, what I can choose to do is be curious and find out, what did you want to have happen? What's going on for you? I remember Bill Clinton saying something which I thought was interesting about when people are upset with him. He asks, firstly, have they slept? Are they hungry? Has somebody else annoyed them? And so actually the anger he's getting isn't necessarily his.
You forgot
But
one. Have you had sex?
Which one?
Have you had good sex?
This is Bill Clinton. I think we can take that as a given, but not necessarily where he should have been having sex. But yeah, it's a great one, Klana, actually. Yeah, that too. And it can be, so if you're communicating to me in a way that I'm not happy with, my opportunity is to go into like a sense of wisdom and curiosity, and be looking at what's going on, and then inquire and ask, what's going on, or what would you like to have had happen? And then you can tell me, well, this is what I needed to have happen. And then I can offer to say, next time, would you like me to do it this way? And you say yes. And then all of a sudden, the level of anger you've had goes down, because now I'm over there with you. I'm listening to you. I'm curious about you. I'm not making judgments, and I'm not defending myself. I just want to know what's going on with you. And again, and that's a response rather than a reaction. The reaction is usually to tell you where to go, or to argue and say, well, why hasn't this been a bloody problem for the last few weeks?
Yeah. And I've heard you men are very sensitive when it comes to anger with women.
It's very confusing, Klana. It's very confusing. So with a man, I can understand the escalation in conflict with a man. The ultimate outcome is that we fight. Okay, so like as it escalates, I can figure out where this is going to go and what the rules are and what the consequences are. I could get my ass kicked, and I got that, and I'm comfortable with it. But when it comes to women, we don't hit women at all, ever. So when things start to escalate, it gets weird, because it goes beyond reason and argument, and it goes into something a bit more tense. And a good man will walk away, will just leave, because it's like, I don't know where to go from here. Because
like you did before in the first part of the role play.
Yeah, I'll exit, because I have to take this anger and keep it safe. But with a man, I can push him. He can push me back, and then we can go toe to toe. But with a woman, you can't. And so when it boils up, a man should leave. But obviously this drives women crazy, because they really want to get into it and get the problem resolved. But for the man, it can be too much.
Yeah. Oh, this is a wild field. Wild as well, but a wild.
Yeah, yeah, it is. But as you mentioned so beautifully, Klana, the key here is humor.
Yeah.
If you can stay in your heart and you can see the absurdity, the absolute absurdity of the situation, you can communicate that to the person you're having the communication with. It's not always easy, but it's worth just keeping humor as the flavor, the essence of the communication, because just one phrase can help that other person who might be in anger to just dissolve it in seconds and get back into their heart and get back into what we might call the normal way of being. And I think humans in their normal kind of homeostasis are in humor. They see, when we have a stillness in our mind, we see the wonder and the beauty of life and its absurdity, and that there's humor in everything. You
can see it with the children. They are usually full of love and fun and playfulness, and we lost it on our way somehow to become an adult. And let's just imagine us back being little children again. And then we play together and not fight against each other.
Yeah, they're much wiser than we are. And it does seem to me they have a perspective which is more balanced. So my nephew, he gets into play and pleasure in a second. Mm-hmm. He can go from being scolded and feeling really unhappy, and literally 5 to 10 seconds later, he's screaming with delight and joy, and he's completely back into his heart and back into pleasure and play.
And this is for me the evidence that we are the masters of our emotions. We can decide where we want to go.
Yeah.
And when children can do that, crying in 1 second and in the next second they are happy again, we can do it because we are that child. It's always a decision. Yeah, it's a decision if we react or respond.
Yeah. And so it's to me, it's like, so reaction is dense and it's heavy and there's a lot of pain in it. Response is light and it's fluid and it's joyful and it has an expansive nature to it. And I don't want to be over in pain and upset and anger. I want to be over in connection and joy and lightness and fun, because when we're in that vibration, what's possible is endless. Mm-hmm. And can often end up in the bedroom, which is where I want to get to. But over here,
in a partnership,
it's the couch.
You are now again back in your realm of the partnerships or relationships, but you can use this also in business with your clients, with your boss, with your colleagues.
Yeah. I've worked with somebody who had perceived that I had acted out of what might be the normal code of conduct. And in my own view, I completely disagreed. But instead of arguing my point, I acknowledged how it was for them and what it was they were experiencing and how they got to the point of view and the perspective that they had. And then I asked them how to fix it. What did they need to happen? And then they told me there was just a few things that was very easy to fix. I fixed them, and then they became my client. And if I had gone from reaction, I would have defended myself. My ego would have taken hold, and I would have made them wrong, showed them the error of their thinking or how they had misperceived what had occurred. But instead I responded with, I want to collaborate. I want to win this person. How do I get it that we both end up working together where I can contribute and be of service? That's a much nicer and more fruitful place to be with somebody. And like you said, you can do this with children. You can do this with anybody, really. Often in life, we bump into people and conflict can arise quite quickly. People are, myself or other people, can be quite quick to want to assert ourselves, let's say. Mm-hmm. And I can spend my whole day reacting to people all the time, or I can spend the whole day responding. And since I've learned these tools, the quality of my life is so much lighter than it was in the past.
Yeah,
like just day to day.
My life too.
It's rare I have conflict, and it's not that I'm giving up, but I'm giving in, and I'm able to direct communication and the overall feeling and emotion that I have with people to a place of love and joy and connection and acceptance, and things just work smoothly. But if I do find myself reacting, it starts to become troublesome and difficult. And I get what's key here is I am the source of all of the quality of my life and the quality of connections that I have with other people. If I start to think it's you, Klana, who needs to change, it's you who needs to do this and that and behave like this and behave like that, or give me this and give me that, it's like I've given my power away and I've given it to you to then be able to affect how I experience our relationship.
It's also my experience, so I can fully agree to what you said. And it's so important that it starts with yourself. It starts within yourself. First, you need to be content with yourself and have your self-love, so to speak. And then you are able to send that out, this love for this other person. And if you see that they really need to change and they will not change, you cannot change anybody. They only can change themselves. And if they don't do that, and you see you cannot get along with this, no matter it's a private relationship or a business relationship, you just have to take your consequences. You can leave. And sometimes it's really important to leave some people behind, because you are going on, and if they cannot come with you, that's the case. And that's also neutral, to use your word, Vincent.
That's right, because
there's nothing bad or wrong with this.
No,
it's just like it is.
Yeah, it's not them. It's it's how they behave or what they do that isn't aligned with maybe what you need. But there's no point attacking them, because they're whole, perfect, and complete just the way they are. But just what they're doing or the results they're getting, if they're not aligned with you, then off you go. Another response is just to check in and see if you're creating expectation and obligation from another. Like I might be putting it on you that you should behave a certain way. I expect you to give me certain things, and when you don't, I might make you wrong. But again, if you're neutral, I can look at myself and say, well, is it reasonable? Why am I expecting Klana to give me X, Y, and Z? Can I provide that for myself? Is this based on some perception of loss or lack that I have? That I can look and say, no, everything actually is fine. And this is maybe just some sort of program I'm running on Klana that I'm expecting her to act a certain way, and she's perfect as she is, and I should just look at, actually it's me who is upset or unhappy, and I want to find the source of that and then question it and then see if I can get rid of it.
So, and if you want to have more of these things or dive deeper into it, of course, the two of us are having some in our background. We are offering a retreat in July, from July 5th to 7th in London, not in London, in the south of London, South England. And South England. Oh, please correct me. And whoever jumps in there right now, we are finishing up. And I would highly recommend to go back when it's published and look from the beginning. We had quite a bit of fun there. So if you are curious to know more of this, we are showing up here more often in the next weeks. Just join the Facebook Lives. Or if you want more, come to our page. I put it up there and you can have a look what we are going to do there. A lot of interesting things, and the seminar is only for women.
That's right. What we want for the women is better sex, more love, and abundance with money.
Absolutely.
And it comes through our communicating and connection with others. Each of those three things come to us through the communications and connections that we have with others. And what we want to do is to share how to bring that lightness, that joy, that love, the expansion into communication with the people in your life, so that you get the sex, you get the love, and you get the money that you want. Yeah,
absolutely.
And less of fighting, complaining, blaming, feeling like a victim, feeling lack, all the kind of heavy stuff. We want to get you out of that pressure and into pleasure.
Pleasure!
Into the deliciousness of life.
Yes, absolutely.
Magic.
And thank you for the hearts, by the way, that flew through the screen. Thanks for joining us.
For contributing to, and everybody else who's watching. Okay, see you guys. Bye.